So my heart is racing in a sub-anxiety attack because someone I know, I'm trying very hard to prevent someone I know from attending a for-profit school. I don't seem very anxious. But that's because I wrote this earlier. It's so hard to make a case when both sides have made up their minds already as to whether or not attending this school in question is even a positive thing. So all the facts I find toward an argument are thereby deducted of some credibility, because we all know I can support any claim as desired. Perhaps less well known is my unfair bias against for-profit educational 2 and 4 year degree issuing institutions. Bias be known, instead of an all-out logical assault, I have to be really strategic and recognize the pro with the con. If I am to engender a steadfast cultural, what do you call it? Steadfast cultural ideal that all education, save for the most proven to be lucrative, should be offered as close to cost as possible. That's all I want. I'm not selling anything. I'm up against people who not only have a bottomless money pit to make their names known, but can pull at cultural heartstrings and resonance of well-known professional competencies. I'd love to be told that these, or maybe just this one, institutions were fast tracks to employment, but what if it's a diploma mill that only wants your money and will then throw you to the wolves? I've been affiliated with some pretty well-heeled institutions, and even they cannot command the chaos that is today's job market. No amount of tuition can ensure that. So, for me, this has become very macro. Very macro. Instead of one person's personal choice that I'm condescendingly trying to command, this is about one person's duty to his or herself to expend resources for the commodity which possesses the best and highest value. And two, education is so important and precious that it should be formatted to the benefit of the student. Benefit of the student, not entirely biased towards the offering organization. The harsh economic realities that my generation has had to face with this global financial recession and recovery ongoing have edified my strident recriminations that we cannot afford an education that cannot employ us as young people with the premium that a college degree should command. Especially those whose parents cannot and would not and should not continue to render support to offspring that in many cases have become transcendently more skilled than the parent, who has a competent income already. Especially those who come from groups that will never see themselves proportionally employed. If you're black or you're Hispanic and you're younger than me, I can only tell you that you will experience, as black and Hispanic people, you will experience the highest trouble finding work of people of your age group. Your age group already has the highest problems finding work. If you get that magic college degree everyone says will cure your minority woes, you'll still experience the highest trouble of finding work of college-educated people of your age group, which, yes, you guessed it, is employed the least fortuitously, at the lowest wages, of all age groups, of all college educated people. See that? See the devalued premiums? And this is important. I'm not gonna put my hand on some little black boy's shoulder and say, "Kid, you could be president someday, son." Because I just, I mean, it's bleak. It's bleak. It's bleak for all minorities. Even by such time whites become a plurality and not a majority, whites will always be a privileged class. So why I wouldn't say the whole "you can be president someday" because it's more likely on your way to becoming president, you can get a law degree, and then you'll have to hide the fact that you have it. Because, you're between jobs. And if you're between jobs and you've got a law degree and you're looking for short-term employment, you're going to have to hide what you have because everyone will assume that the JD means a premium. And those don't go over well because, no one wants to hire at a premium for any employee. But if you're a woman or a minority or both, then, all employers, public or private, you can imagine, they see opportunities to reduce their labor overhead when they see you or when they see any non-Caucasian, non-male applicant looking for work. It's about the bottom line. So, you really, really, really don't want to have the wrong degree, the wrong color, the wrong name, or the wrong sex organs. Equal pay for equal work in the United States is not, repeat, not the law. Hiring, firing, promotion, leave, work location, these are all protected. Actual wages are not. The question of how much is not. So, have you even heard of wage transparency laws? I mean, they exist, maybe, in the public sector and for corporate executives on their SEC filings. So back to for-profit schools. I don't know if they're unfairly or disproportionately toward the minorities. But I will certainly say people in minorities seem to be more susceptible to the message. Maybe just because it's any kind of school. It's a school. So the message, you should better yourself and go to school, resonates with minorities who, feel like they should go to school. And maybe, they didn't write this I didn't write this in my essay, but it might be less informed or might be more, advertising might be a more important source of actual information for them. So I told you before that my approach to enjoining this, or injuncting, or whatever you want to say, was part pro-con and part fact-war. For the pro-con, I found a real live specimen of somebody who's about to graduate from this school. I think that the Judeo-Christian God brought her to my apartment last night because we had only renewed, me and the person considering to go to the school, we only renewed our dispute about it in the afternoon. So that's pro-con. The fact that I'm at R. However, I can start with the fact war and point out that this chain of schools is 41% owned by Goldman Sachs. Goldman Sachs. Anyone unfamiliar with the investment banking outfit known as Goldman Sachs, they should know it's ancient New Yorkese for We want your money. Or we want your money, we want your money. We'll never give it back. A proponent of global finance will tell you that these outfits like UBS, Goldman Sachs, and HSBC, and that they're multinational, nonprofit, world development banks like the World Bank, IMF, and those institutions, that they're all global forces for good. They do good things. They create wealth. They create prosperity. They create jobs for middle class and below individuals in many countries in the world. Okay, well, they produce the basic factors. They've produced financing mechanisms in the whole world because of economies of scale and because of ongoing private ownership of the factors of production. You have ongoing private ownership of the factors of production. Even a motherfucking educational college associate's degree issuing institution in a 4-story office building is a factor of production. They're manufacturing credentials privately for profit. It's a firm. It's all capitalism. It's all the same. It's all the same shit. So, we might live in a capitalist society, but it's still a free society. It's still a free capitalist society. This is not corporatism, fascism. This is not America during World War II either. Not a command economy. We don't have ration ships. And there's no one with a gun at your back saying you have to spend your education ration chips on the for-profit school. We still have individual liberties. We still have the freedom to spend our money in this free market. So anyway, back to my... that's all a tangent. I didn't write that down. But if you think, along with these global finance people, young people, people like me who've been indoctrinated and taken in by the rhetoric that they're doing something positive because it pays a lot of money and because they're in the elite. These kids are elite. They're intelligent, they're competitive, and they've been told they're the best for a long, long time. So now, very few of them are going to be open and comfortable with the fact that what they're doing is evil or unethical or counterproductive to man. They would rather believe otherwise. They've been indoctrinated otherwise. They might hold these nationalist, capitalist, corporatist values close to heart because they are intellectually part of a movement. That's okay. If they know what they are. If these people know who they are and know what they are. And if they know what they're doing. Because when the time comes, something... they won't just be reckoned. They won't just be, elite again when the time comes. So, if you think these guys are a global force of good like the U.S. Navy says they are, there's all kinds of counter-propaganda. I don't have to waste my time explaining why these organizations are not good for humanity. I don't have to say a damn thing. People can be looked after by the state. The state can look after the economy, and world trade can continue. But there's a class of people that gets to be rich off of the status quo we live now. So they don't care. They don't care that schools don't function to enrich students with skills that will create lucrative professions. They would rather sell a dream and say, you're on your own. Pay us pay us for our skills and equipment, but you're on your own for finding that job. It's a devilish, demonic thing. So yeah, if you think they're a global force of good like the U.S. Navy says that's ridiculous. Next thing you know, we'll find out that the U.S. Navy itself is also another subsidiary of Goldman Sachs. Ciao.